which is about housing and housing prices in New Zealand. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is, again, now, when I say this, I'm not being arrogant and I'm not saying, oh, no one's talked about this, but I follow the news quite closely. Like, my phone's dinging all the time. Excuse me. When you talk for a straight hour, the throat gets a bit dry. Like, my phone dings all day with news headlines and stuff. So when I say what I'm about to say, which is I haven't seen anyone else talking about this, it's not a commentary on, oh, I've got all the answers and no one else has said this. It's a commentary on, I just haven't seen it be talked about yet, and I think it's an important thing to talk about if it hasn't in fact been talked about yet. I'm just going to pause that so it doesn't play. So we're getting information now in the real estate institute, in the real estate market, I should say, that house prices are dropping. And there are many people who are celebrating that. And they're celebrating that because they're like, finally we can, new house owners, first-time house buyers will be able to get into the market, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I just wanted to have a pause on that idea and what I love to do is delve into the numbers. It's something I like doing. I want to, on a very minor level, delve into the numbers and have a look at what that actually means. Now, the data, whether it be through the REINZ, who I think I've got here, on what house prices were year on year. This is actually from last month, so it's not this month. And last month, to me, this reads the median house price was up about 8%. A bunch of other research that I've looked around from different parts of the country talk about it being up 14%. And so I'm actually going to just say, over the board, house prices over the past year have gone up by about 10% total. I think it's a fair, I mean, you may have experienced that to be different. But that's the number I'm going to use. If I'm off by a few percent, you will send me a shitty tweet, I'm sure. But it seems to me that it's about a 10% increase. In fact, even in this article, I think it talks about where is it? Like in here, like over the past, there's a 12% over the past 4 months drop, bringing it back down to what it was a year ago. There's a 9% here over the past 3 months, bringing it back to where it was. There's 13% there. There's a 6 or 7% there. So I think 10% over 12 months is pretty fair. I mean, you can call it 15%, but that's what we're going to use for the sake of this conversation today. And I'm not trying to load the numbers to make a point correct. I'm just wanting to show us what that actually means. So the thing you got to do, right, is figure out the two things are house prices are going down. Some people are saying yay to that. Some people who own houses are saying boo to that. But a common point being said is it will help first-time home buyers and people who can't afford to get into the market, get into the market. And I would say, no, it won't. Actually, at the moment, it's harder to get into a house than it was. So let's have a look. And I'm going to use Mike Pero's lovely mortgage calculator here because I can. And if you have a look at mortgage rates about a year ago, so that's down here, you can see that mortgage rates, 2-year mortgage rate I've settled on about a year ago was hovering around that 2.5%. If you can't quite see the number, it's kind of flicking from 2.578, across to 2.528, across to 2. So it was 2.5%, right? So, and I've used a kind of average house price again based on the REINZ numbers here for, average house price was a year ago was what was that? 825, 679 in Auckland, 125. So I reckon that means you might need a couple of $100,000 deposit. $900,000 might be a fairly safe place to put it as a house price for an average house price across the whole country. I know many of us in smaller cities like $900,000. But let's just use that as our number. Now that means you might have to get, say, a $770,000 mortgage, pretty average price for the nation for houses. So a year ago, if you had a $770,000 house and you're paying 2.5%, which is down here, per month, you're paying just over $3,000 in repayment. That's based on a 30-year mortgage because we are talking about first-home buyers, right? That's the conversation. So for $770,000, 2.5%, $3,000 a month. This is what I wanted to point out, and I'm sure you all know where this is going. We're going to drop that price by 10%, right? We're going to drop that to $700,000, and we're going to make this 5%. Why are we making this 5%? Well, here's Westpac at the moment. Fixed 2 years is 5.19. So actually 5% is quite generous. It's between 1 year and 2 year. Again, I think it's a fair amount to put out there. So if we put the 10% house price drop, so it's down to $700,000 now, Can I make that bigger? Probably should have done that before I came on. There you go. So we're making it $700,000, and we've put the interest rate at 5%, and that has, as you can see, has gone up to $3,757. So it's $750-ish more per month today. So those first-time home buyers who thought they were going to get into the market now have cheaper houses, but on a $700,000 house are paying about $750 more per week in their payments. So it's not more affordable. It's actually less affordable to get into a house, a cheaper house today than it is. So if we actually had a look at that, I haven't done this yet, so bear with me. If I made that $600,000, would I get down towards my $3,000? I'm still not towards my $3,000. So if I made that $550,000, oh, 550, oh, that's right. Okay, so I have to be like about 575,000. Bomb, bomb, bomb. I have to be about 500. I have to be about 550,000. Right before on a 5% interest rate, I have to be about $555,000 before it becomes more affordable. So that house that was $770,000 12 months ago on the 12-month ago interest rate has to now be $555,000 on the 5% interest rate for it to actually be more affordable. And I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, what would that be? $200,000 out of 700. That's 25% price drop. That's not going to happen. So actually, I just wanted to be a bearer of bad tidings because I'm a dick like that, and say to people, if you're of the belief that these house prices are going to help people get into new homes, it's utter horseshit. And I think we've just demonstrated that with the numbers. You can have a house that's $200,000 to $300,000 more expensive under the old interest rates, which would still be cheaper to service the mortgage than a house $200,000 to $300,000 cheaper under the new interest rates. And those jumps aren't happening. We're not seeing the house market jump by $200,000 or $300%, $200,000 or $300,000 over about $700,000 or $800,000. It's just not happening. So the thing I haven't seen talked about very much at the moment is actually, we'll say it bluntly, housing is less affordable today with the house prices going down than it was 12 months ago when the house prices were higher.